So last of all, we're going to make our scrunchie. For this, we need a strip of fabric, a piece of elastic and a safety pin. Strips of fabric are usually for 10 or 12 centimetres wide. I use it by the full width of the printed cotton. Typically, quilter's cotton is 45 inches wide or 112 centimetres. You want to bring your shorter ends together, match them up, and we're going to start by sewing that together. Now I'm going to show you a technique here of how to make a scrunchie, which I've seen online. It requires no or very little hand stitching. There are lots of different ways of making scrunchies if you look on YouTube. I've done another tutorial showing you a different technique. Which technique is your favourite just really depends on you. So I'm going to use a particular technique for this scrunchie, but this is by no means the only way to make a scrunchie. So, oops, straight stitch, start off with a little back stitch, 1 centimetre seam allowance, that seam flat, and then flip this over so you're looking at the wrong side of the scrunchie and the seam is on the bottom. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to press or fold the uppermost layer of your scrunchie fabric in and out of the way. So you don't have to press it with an iron, but you're just going to sort of fold it. What you're really doing is taking this uppermost layer and just folding it in thirds so that it's out of the way. Then you want to bring your fabric that's on the underside and bring it so that it's right sides together. I'm going to match up my seams there and just pop a clip in. You can just pop some clips or pins all the way down. We're going to start sewing with a 1 centimetre seam allowance, and then as we go through, we're just going to pull the fabric through. It will make sense when I'm on the machine. So I'll pop my fabric sausage under my machine, call it so. It's like a sausage shape, isn't it? And then I'm just going to use the edge of my presser foot as a guide, just so that my scrunchie is ever so slightly wider. To start with a back stitch. You can use a 1 centimetre seam allowance if you want. And then I'm just going to sew the 2 layers together, and you can see that the inside layer, the under layer, is folded up underneath. As I get to the end, I can just slightly pull my fabric through to release some additional fabric. When you're doing this, make sure that your presser foot is down and your needle is down so that it's holding your fabric in place. And then you just carry on. So I'm being careful not to catch the fabric inside. And when I get to the end, I just keep pulling from the inside. It's quite sort of strangely satisfying actually. Bring together the raw edges there and just continue sewing. Keep sewing until you come back all the way round, and I can just want to leave myself a gap there big enough to turn my scrunchie through, so about a 4 or 5 centimetre gap. So then you want to reach your fingers into your gap and pull your tube through. This is quite a fun part. There you go, and you've got one gigantic fabric hoop. Now we want to post our elastic through. I use about a 20 centimetre piece of elastic, but you could just put your elastic through your wrist to, you know, typically you want your elastic, if you think about a scrunchie, it fits around your wrist, so you can use your wrist as a bit of a guide. And then I just post my elastic in, so there's my safety pin, in through the gap and just caterpillar the elastic through the gap. Now you don't want to lose the end of it, so I sort of hold on to the end, or you could always just pin or clip the end of the your elastic to your opening so that it doesn't go running off. And then you can just work your safety pin all the way around your tube of fabric until it comes back out the other end again. Come all the way around until my other end of my elastic is poking back out. So very carefully undo the safety pin and whoop, don't let go, don't let go. Grab the other side, so both your two sides of elastic are together, and then we will just stitch those together. You could tie a knot as well. I think I'll just quickly go and sew them. So I'll just sew those two ends together. You can pull that sewn together end of your elastic back into the depths of your scrunchie and then even everything out. One last job to do, which is to just close that gap there. So with all of those raw edges tucked in, you can just stitch along the edge of your gap, or if you want a completely invisible finish, then you could just slip stitch by hand or do a ladder stitch to close that gap there. I'm going to stitch right on the edge. If you wanted to, you could make a feature of the edge stitch and go all the way around the perimeter of your scrunchie, and then you'd have like a little border. And if you're doing that, you could come in and sew a bit further in to make a feature of it, but I'm just stitching right on the very edge. I'll trim off any thread tails, and that's my scrunchie finish. And that is everything done. And so there we have our toweling headband, makeup wipes, wash bag and scrunchie all finished and ready for that spa day or lovely gift for a special friend. I hope you've enjoyed sewing with me today. I've really enjoyed making these, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next Flying Bobbins tutorial.